What's up, everybody? You are tuned in to React with Stay, and I'm the man himself, stayoffmytop, but of course you know what to call me. This is part of the reaction section of the Get It Gone Entertainment YouTube channel, and I'm one of the many hosts that will narrate this show. Here we will review some of the most viral and the most important media on the internet. If you have content that you think we should look into or review, contact the information provided on this channel and someone will definitely get back with you. Also, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Y'all subscribe, so you don't miss content and we can stay in touch. With that being said, let's get started with React with Stay. So for our first reaction, we'll be looking into a recent interview done earlier today on a Houston artist / CEO by the name of Sauce Walka. Bootleg Kev hosted the interview, and the reason I chose this clip is not only because Get It Gone Entertainment is based out of Houston, but also because I truly believe there's a powerful message behind this episode. Let's dig into this clip and I'll break down what I think and give the viewers a chance to dissect their opinions in the comments. Let's get it.
Yo, Bootleg Kev Show, man. Special guest in here. I would like to give this man his flowers because I do feel like there are very few artists who have heavy influence on culture, have heavy influence on some of the biggest artists in the game, but don't get their credit. I would like to say Sauce Walka, one of the most influential rappers of the last decade or so. He is here, the H-Town legend.
Oy. I appreciate those flowers. Those are very truthful words. You know what I'm saying? That's a different side of the truth that some people don't want to, reciprocate or acknowledge. How many huge stars that have basically built their whole makeup off of, the Sauce Walka legacy and my style and my indifference
and your slang,
all that
your
shit.
fashion.
It'd be funny sometimes because I hear some people say, it'd be funny, I hear the fans of the comments, they be like, you look like an older version of so-and-so. And it'd be funny, they just don't know that they're really looking at this artist re-emulating me. You know what I'm saying? You mean that they look like a younger version of me, is what you're trying to say. But,
yeah, because you've been doing this shit for, years at this point. I think I just told you, I think the first time we worked, I DJ'd for you at a show randomly, was maybe 10 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, I officially been a successful superstar artist for 10 years. I've been rapping. The TSF thing started in 2013. I blew up 2014. It's 2024 right now. So
yeah,
that's a full decade, on paper. But the battle and the fight for the success has been a lifelong journey.
Yeah, because I think about so many people have came to Houston and gotten. And there's guys like Drake who have given back to Houston a lot and made it a point to go out of his way to kind of still be there for Houston, show up, do events, and But I just feel like Houston is one of them markets that's kind of like the Bay Area in California, where so many people have taken from it, but for whatever reason the credit is never really necessarily attributed to it as much as it should be.
I feel that it's like a 50-50 stake in responsibility for that truth, which that is 100% the truth. The legacy and the lineage of Houston has been appropriated and recycled without Houston getting the recognition and the flowers or the opportunities that comes from the ideas and the culture and the essence of Houston. But I blame 50% of the responsibility of that on the industry, and I blame the other 50% on the city of Houston, Texas, because we have become more of a consumer's market than a seller's market. And that's not the origin of Texas sound. Not even just Houston, Texas as a whole. We're known for being independent artists, wholesalers of music.
Come and buy these CDs out the trunk. You know what I'm saying? Self-distributed.
Selling it.
Rap-A-Lot Records. What are we talking about?
Rap-A-Lot Records, Asylum Records, Screwed Up Click Records, Swisher House, Suave House.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony Draper.
It goes on and on. Dope House. It goes on and on. All of these are independent multi-millionaire record labels and distributions. South distributions. I can just keep going on. It's so many different pillars in the state of Texas that have been, even DSR in Dallas, not to just cut them out.
The DSR, remember DSR?
Right, so it's so many different Texas pillars who have been independent and made millions and millions of dollars, nothing less than high six figures a year off of being independent and representing being engulfed and like overly loving and appreciating our sound. The internet kind of fucked that up. The internet broke that up. Like, people from the Bay will never get out of enjoying and representing the cultures and the fruits of Bay Area ways, like the hairstyles, having a ducktail or the long dread, something like that. If one part of the Bay, if we doing this in Sac, then we gonna do this in Vallejo. If we doing this Vallejo, then we gonna do this in Oakland.
Right.
You know what I mean? Versus to where in Texas is like, and before I get further to that point, when these hairstyles or these lingos, way of talking, way of dressing, whatever that y'all do that's Bay Area shit, when it hits the internet and the internet doesn't necessarily agree with it or feel like that's cool, like they was like, that shit look weird, that shit lame, that shit woo, then the Bay Area is not gonna not continue to act the way that they act because it doesn't fit in with y'all. It doesn't fit in with the way people dressing in New Orleans or the way people dressing in New York with the drill scene. The Bay doesn't give a fuck about that. Right. The Bay is gonna be the Bay. If we thizzin', we thizzin'. If we, you know what I'm saying, whatever we own, pimping, whatever style of music that we own, they own it. Versus to whereas in Texas, like, you have a large amount of our community that wants to fit in with what they see on the internet more or less than continue to create and be indifferent on the internet.
And own
your identity. Like when you go to Florida, they own their identity. The gold teeth, the dunk cars,
right.
The style of dressing, the wick hairstyles, the Haitian culture. Like all of this shit is things that empowers their culture, it empowers their music, it empowers their economy as well, because there's certain essence and things that you have to go to their market to buy if you want it done correctly. So it's like with Houston, if you want a correct iced out grill permanent in your mouth, you're gonna come to Houston.
Yep.
If you a rap artist and you want your teeth to look, if you want to compete with the teeth that's going around in the world and the jury that's going around the world and not look like you spent less money or got some bullshit, then you gonna go to Texas and you gonna go to the right people that's the best at doing it. Plug Geo, Johnny Dane.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's when it comes to the essence of music and screwed and chopped culture or dressing a certain way that represents
even the cars.
The cars. I was like, even we think about that in the last decade, Sauce Walka is the only Houston, Texas rapper that has swankers on his car and vocalizing and publicizing it to the world. I'm the only nigga that did that.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting to think.
That's
like,
weird.
Because when I was like, obviously, shout out to Paul Wall and all those guys. Like that was like the first time I ever saw those fucking rims.
Yeah. And salute to Paul Wall. Like the legends, our legends.
Mike Jones, Slim Thug.
All our legends, they keep the fruits of our culture. You know what I'm saying? Done like in people's face prominent. They keep it like existing. They keep it like, you know what I'm saying, to the forefront. We talking about the younger generation. The younger generation and the current generation is who plants the seeds to the future.
Right.
So if the people that's between the ages of 35 to 25 is not doing it, then that means the people that's from the ages from 25 to 15 are not gonna want to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because between 15 and 25, these are the young adults who are on the TikTok, who own all the social media platforms. They playing sports. They still in high school. They still in middle school. So whatever information that they downloading into their brain that represents their city and their culture, they going on the internet and making it a thriving force. That's why the drill scene has lasted so long, because it's not about the rappers just running around shooting each other and dancing and fighting and
right.
representing the hoods. It's about these children that we see on the internet constantly programming our brains with these dances, constantly programming our brains with these skits and these TikToks, and then it goes global. Now we got people way in the UK making drill music and drill dances and altering what's the biggest wave of style in New York. So therefore, you don't see how that creates money and it creates wealth and it creates an identity and it creates a respect factor in the music industry, where the companies and the powers that be, when they want to utilize that sound in a commercial because it's going to bring sales, it's going to bring engagement, if they want to utilize the settings or one of the stadiums in your city, they still have to incorporate the music scene and the culture that's in that city within those events. Houston missed out on that for a 10-year span while we were still having like huge events happening in the city. We had Super Bowls, we had All-Star games, we've had NCAA tournaments, Final Fours. We've had all of these different things and go on in the state of Texas, along with our annual stuff like the
rodeo,
Texas Rodeo Lifestyle. Exactly. See, you know about this type of shit, but none of the 10, 15 young dominant artists from the state of Texas are ever involved in these things.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. Like, obviously, don't know the politics of the Houston Rodeo. Mm-hmm. It's a huge. For people who don't know, the Houston Rodeo is probably the biggest annual event in Houston. Period. It's at the football stadium.
Absolutely.
It's all weekend long.
It's a month long event, but the main
shit is a weekend.
Shows is a weekend or
right.
two. It's like a weekend or two. It's like a country weekend, but you still gonna have some good soul singing artists, some good R&B artists and stuff like this. Like you will have some other artists who not necessarily rappers, but they make like alternative music. They'll be in that part, and then the next weekend is the rap part.
Well, like recently,
it's a rap weekend and it's like a singing weekend.
Yeah, I was gonna say recently because like obviously when we think of like rodeos, we think of like country music, fucking rednecks, whatever, right?
Right.
But it's like very much a part of Texas culture. There's ranches all over Texas. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Like I grew up in riding horses in my hood. And you right where you're riding a horse, you'll see a Lamborghini, or Porsche, Ferrari, or Rolls Royce drive right past you.
This is part of the culture, right?
It's just a part of the life out there.
But like I know recently, was it Bun B that put together like the?
Yeah, for the last 4 or 5 years, Bun B been like, or like maybe 3 years, 4 years.
Just
I don't
putting
know,
together like the all-star team of like the who's who. I think Drake came out of the last one.
Yeah, it's a lot.
This last one, I know OT came out, which was big for him. Shout out to OT.
Yeah, OT. That was like a little ray of sunshine for us. Like,
well, I was gonna say like,
how do you feel about it though? Because you asked
about Houston.
No, just the rodeo and the lineup and stuff.
I thought it was dope because I mean, look, like I remember I think the first time I'd seen Bun B doing it, at least to my peripherals, because I watched Yellowstone, that show with Kevin Costner, so I started paying attention to rodeo shit. Yeah. so like not this last time, but the time before, because I was telling my wife, I was like, yo, low key, like we should go to this fucking rodeo because we were watching Yellowstone and shit, you know?
Right.
And I was like, yo, Bun B's putting together a fucking lineup, and it was like the H-Town All-Stars, and it was like everybody was there. I thought it was dope, but I think that like it's funny that you said what you said earlier, right? Because like I said, I'm a big, like Scarface is one of my goats, man. I love Scarface. I love the Swisher House movement. I loved all that shit, all the color changing click shit when I was a kid. I used to sell those mixtapes in high school and shit. And it's funny that like some of the biggest artists, I always forget, not necessarily always forget, but when I'm talking about Houston artists, I always forget to mention the biggest artists from Houston. Does that make sense? Because it's not necessarily like the front of their imagery or branding. So like, you know, we'll talk about Houston artists all the time, like, and I'll be like, yo, Maxo Cream and fucking OT and you know, Peso or Sauce Walka or whatever. But I always forget, like, oh shit, Don Tolliver's from fucking Houston.
Exactly.
Megan's from Houston.
Exactly.
You know,
because we don't have.
Travis is from Houston. Right. You know, and this is a guy has done Astro World in town and has worked with you.
Any of these people at the rodeo.
That's fair.
Or any of these people at the rodeo, or any of these artists performing at the rodeo, any of the last 10 artists that you just named, except for one, LT.
That's real.
That's weird. But love and respect to Bun B and everything that he does for Houston and the state of Texas. And it's probably some things that's out of his hand, out of his control. But at the end of the day, if you was to compare that to what you would say is the Summer Jam in New York, if you was to compare that to the Birthday Bash in Atlanta,
you could say the who's who of any of those artists from those cities.
They would never.
They've already been there and done it.
They were never in the history of niggerdom. They were never in the history of music allow these type of events to go on and not have the young artists. We talking about this right. I don't care.
Yeah,
if
41, Jen Carter and Kyle Rich and those guys just did Summer Jam.
Okay then, 41 did mess.
Yeah.
Exactly, that shit right there. That's what makes sense. That's what keeps them at the top of media. That's what keeps them at the top of gatekeeping. That's what makes it to where when an artist blows up, you have to touch the New York market, you have to touch the California market, because they understand recycling, the power of their generations. We don't have that,
right?
Because we have so many people that wants to hold the gate, and all you doing is you're making us obsolete to the rest of the competition around the world. Around the world, it does not make sense to have a Rolling Loud. What you basically just saying is that our Houston Rodeo is to the equivalent of a Rolling Loud, a Coachella, a Birthday Bash, these type of events where it's going to be 60, 70,000 people in the arena. Why would you not? And of these 60,000 people, 70% of these people are within the age group of the artists that are the existing artists right now, from 30 to 25 years, from their 30s to their 20s. None of the performing artists are in their 30s and their 20s though. Every performing artist is in their 40s or their 50s.
That's real.
That's to say that
that's a problem.
That's weird. That doesn't make sense. I've had talks. Period though, but it goes bigger than the. I'm not trying to make like this whole interview about.
No, for sure, but it's important
about the what is it called again? The rodeo.
Right.
That's why the rodeo is not. It's important to the older people, but it's not that important to the youth in Texas. It's not as important and powerful as it could be, and there would be other events that would come circling around that as well, because then the world would see, oh, it makes sense for Rolling Loud to come to Texas. It makes sense for us to make.
Yeah, there should be a Rolling Loud Texas for sure.
That doesn't make no sense. We talking about the fourth. We talking about the third biggest state, fourth biggest city.
Right.
Third biggest state, fourth biggest city.
Wait, second biggest state, right? Isn't it Alaska then Texas? What's the other one?
No, I think it's New York. California.
No. I'm talking about landmass.
No, landmass, we number 2. That's what I'm saying. On all scales, which we trumping shit.
Right.
It's for when you add about population, we're number 4. Houston,
right?
In America, by population, we number 4. By landmass, we number 2. By state, we're number 3.
Right.
So it's like, you know what I mean? And you know, if you look at just the demographic of everything, we probably have one of the biggest sports markets in America.
Period.
We have every team that you can imagine.
Period.
We have all of the basketball teams inside of one state.
San Antonio, Dallas, Houston.
Come on, bro. Just make it make sense.
Yeah.
We have all the
2 NFL teams.
All the basketball. Exactly. Yep. So how can y'all not create the lucrativeness and the funds and the finances off of bringing concerts in our state? That doesn't make sense. It should be huge, immense concerts in the state of Texas with all of the big artists from outside of Texas and the artists inside of Texas. We don't get those moments because it's not enough traction coming from the state. They don't see enough concerts and enough venues and enough hard ticket sales within the state.
Do you think Travis tried to do it with Astroworld?
He did. I ain't no tried to do it. He did it.
Yeah, and then
you got to give it to Travis. Travis is the only person that did this.
And obviously, you know,
me and Travis is like. That's why we like the God-like legends that we is. Like, no matter what go on with Travis,
to Screw,
you cannot take shit away from Travis, because at every different level that Travis reach, he come back and do something great for the city. So it's like you can't take that from bro. Like no matter what.
Yeah, so that pretty much sums up the point that I wanted to highlight on this interview. If you want to tap in a little bit more, go to Bootleg Kale's channel and watch the rest of the episode. Shout out to Bootleg Kale. He's a wonderful interviewer and definitely interviews high quality artists. Alright, so yeah, the point that I wanted to highlight was the fact that he is saying is the industry 50-50. It's 50% the industry and it's 50% the artist when it comes to why Houston doesn't exceed or excel how we should be doing. And I want to know what you guys think and how you all feel about this aspect, because, you know, being a part of the culture, I definitely understand where he's coming from. He says it's the older generation that's putting on for Houston. And, you know, the younger artists, they are the future. Our kids listen to them, and our kids are who we spend money for, and our kids are what push the content and get on YouTube and, you know, and run around, and they, you know, they're blasting the music, and they, you know, they basically push the culture forward. And whatever they agree on in the culture, that's what thrives. So, you know, what do you guys think? I definitely feel like he's right. I definitely feel like if we want to control what the narrative is, we have to be a little bit more hands-on. And I feel like the older heads are living on a different agenda. I feel like the younger heads are here having fun, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But like they say, you never forget where you came from. I definitely feel like you should always reach back to the people who support you first. And I definitely feel like we should be working together. If we all coming from the same struggles, or if we're all trying to make it past the same obstacles, whether it's the streets or it's the industry or whatever, we gotta be, helping each other. Especially when we come from the same place, we come from the same backgrounds. Doesn't matter the race or the scan of itches. I feel like it matters the overall struggle or where you were raised from. And I feel like the first people who lended a hand out to you. You should definitely always reach back, always show gratitude, always work with those people and work with the families of these people because that will make your legacy stronger than ever. And I just feel like Sauce Walka believes that Houston deserves a lot more, a whole lot more. And I feel like there's a couple artists that's really putting on for Houston and there's a couple artists that's really not. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know. Shout out to Sauce Walka. I definitely look up Sauce Walka. Been following him for a long time. I vibe with his music, I vibe with his mentality. And he definitely always makes sure he has something important to say or bring to the table, which is why I chose this clip. Like I said, we Get It Gone Entertainment originated in Houston. So just to put a little content out there representing the Salt City, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, y'all comment, like, subscribe, send emails, get in touch with me, and let's vote on the next content. Let's vote on what I put out there we want to talk about. What should I react on? It's your boy Stay Off My Top. Thanks for tuning in to React with Stay.